Jazakallah, Hafiz Naveed and Hafiz Sahib. Sheikh Shahid, if you want to share your screen, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
وبركاته.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Inshallah ta'ala, as everyone's doing well in this great month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah, we thank Hafiz Naveed and Hafiz Suhaib for the recitation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from him. And inshallah ta'ala, you're benefiting from following along, at least hearing the words of the Quran, and that is also an act of worship, just hearing the beautiful words of the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. Tonight, we are covering the 13th part of the Quran, which consists of the second half of Surah Yusuf, and then going on to Surah Ra'd, chapter number 14, and then chapter number 13, sorry, and then enter into chapter number 14, Surah Ibrahim. Surah Yusuf was mentioned last night with Dr. Uthman Omarji. He covered a little bit of the lessons about Yusuf alayhi salam, and I will continue that in a bit, and we'll get back to that inshallah ta'ala. Surah Ra'd goes over multiple different lessons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about that in Jannah, that we will be with our spouses, our children, and our fathers, right? One of the great rewards of being with Jannah is being with your family and your friends and those that you recommend, you realize, and those you used to be with, right? Your companions in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also speaks, as we move on to Surah Ibrahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks a lot about blessings in this surah. That if you are thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will increase you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually leaves it open that He'll increase you in multiple different ways, not just one way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions that if you try to count His blessings, you will not be able to do so. As I track back and go over to Surah Yusuf, as the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, subhanAllah, has so many different lessons that we could benefit from. But the one I want to focus on tonight is the lesson of, or the lesson that we can learn of family. Of family ties. You know what, if you look at the Quran and the different stories that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relates to us, especially of the prophets, you almost see a trend that almost every family have some type of issue going on. You have Nuh alayhi salam and his son does not want to follow him on the boat. You have Lut alayhi salam and his wife doesn't want to follow him, and she stays back in the city. You have of course, the story of Yusuf and his brothers, right? Of the story of jealousy and trying to hurt him because what they thought that their father and preferred him more. But we see in these verses here, at the end of Surah Yusuf here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about how that Yusuf alayhi salam got out of the sijin, got out of the prison, and he was put into this minister of finance, if you will, right? He had the power now. And what happened is that his brothers come to him, right? Leave the lands of Palestine, come over to Egypt as they were in need of food, and they knew that the land of Egypt was giving out food. So they traveled all the way over there, and they wanted food. And so they came up to the gates of the palace, and Yusuf alayhi salam realized that's his brothers, but they didn't realize him. And so he gives them a good share of the money, all right? And he says, you know what, I think you have another brother, which is his full brother, Binyamin. And he says, why don't you go back home? If you bring him to me, then I will give you his portion of the shares. But since he's not here, you won't get any of that, right? And look how much I gave you. I've been very generous to you. And so they go back and they finally bring his brother, and he finally sees his brother. He's elated, right? And he tells his brother, you know what, I'm Yusuf, right? They don't know. And then what happens that he gives him the share. He puts his cup, his drinking cup, what's understood, in his brother's bag as they're leaving, and then says, well, you know what, that I think something's missing of mine. And this is a plot, this is a plan that he has. And he says, you know what, I think it's in this guy's bag, and it's in his own brother's bag. And so, you know what, he gets to stay with me, right? And it was Yusuf alayhi salam's plan to keep his full brother with him, right? And even though when he says that, right, and he says, you know, he has to stay with me, the other brothers says something very interesting, right? They said, well, if he steals, he had a brother that used to steal before him. Talking about who? Talking about Yusuf alayhi salam also, right? And imagine if you're Yusuf there, after all these years, right? These brothers you finally see, the ones that threw you into a well and made you go through all the difficulty of slavery and being in a prison, and now you're in the place you are at, And now you see that they're even talking bad about you in your own face, but they don't even realize that's you. They're saying that, you know, if he stole, then guess what? He had a brother a long time ago. Yeah, he used to steal also. He did the same thing. Imagine what Yusuf alayhi salam is thinking. If they're saying this now, imagine what they were saying in between. But Yusuf alayhi salam does not answer. Doesn't say, you know what? No, all of you go to prison. Oh, I'm kicking you out of my land. Oh, give me my stuff back, right? He doesn't take any retribution there at all, right? Later on, when they finally come back again, he sees his brothers. And you know what? And this time, he reveals himself to them. He say, you know what? I am Yusuf. And they recognize him. And now his brothers say, what? By Allah, certainly Allah has preferred you over us. And indeed, we have been the sinners. Right? Now, after so many years, and it takes a while, but his own family members, right? His own brothers now finally say, you know, yeah, we're the ones that were sinners. We're the ones that are doing wrong. And what does Yusuf alayhi salam do then? He didn't say, yes, finally you learned your lesson. So many times I've been talking to you. Yeah, it's about time. Yeah, no, now you know how I feel, right? He doesn't do that. He says something amazing where he says, قَالَ لَا تَثْرِيبَ الْيَوْمِ or لَا تَثْرِيَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْيَوْمِ. Right? يَغْفِرُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ وَهُوَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. He says, today there is no blame on you. And he asked Allah to forgive them. I said, Allah is the one who is the most merciful of the merciful. Right? Here he said, لَا تَثْرِيَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْيَوْمِ. There's no blame on you. I'm not going to take retribution against you. Right? And here's one of the lessons of our family, my dear brothers and sisters. We all know family is like something very beautiful, right? We love our family. We have great times, great dinners together, weddings, etc. But also at times it can be really rough. Families give you a lot of challenges, right? There's certain members in your family that sometimes are very hard to deal with than others. And sometimes they do things to you that are very painful, that are very hurtful. And nothing as hurtful as throwing you down into a well, and then you end up being in slavery, and then end up going to prison and being away from your father and being away from your family for so many years. And finally, Yusuf alayhi salam, after all these years, he has time to finally give it back to them, right? Show them like what his power now, right? Give him some payback. But he doesn't do that. Yusuf alayhi salam is on a different level. That's not the game he plays, right? And he says, La tafri alaykum al-yawm. There's no blame on you today. No. Right? He could do that. He could do something, but that's not who Yusuf alayhi salam is. And that's why, my dear brothers and sisters, when sometimes you get harsh actions or treatment from your own family, realize that is your family, right? And we know how strong family is in Islam. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, that whoever keeps connections with their family, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep connections with them. And whoever disconnects from their family, Allah will disconnect from them, right? Because family is such an essential part of our community, of our ummah, right? We have to treat them at a different level, even though they do super duper hurtful things, like throw people in wells, right? But here Yusuf alayhi salam says, La tafir al-yawm. And the thing, I know what you're saying. I've been trying to be nice to my family. I try to be like the Yusuf, I try to be like Yusuf alayhi salam, right? They do things to me, but I'm nice to them, right? But you know what? Sometimes I'm the one that gets humiliated, right? I don't feel like I'm any advantage going on. Well, there's a couple times in this surah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allah la yudi'u ajral muhsinin. Allah says Allah will not do away, will not lose the reward of those who do ihsan, those who do muhsinin. Allah is watching you. Yeah, someone might not pat you in the back and say, it's okay, that's good. You didn't yell back at them, or you didn't insult them. They didn't invite you for their wedding, but you invited them. Good job. That's how good character you have. A lot of people are not going to do that to you in this world. No one's going to say, you have good character. Yeah, don't worry about them. But guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fully aware of that. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when the matter really counts of what you did in this world, and you see that, right? Allah is not going to do away with that reward that I did in this world, even though no one really patted me on the back in this world. No one encouraged me, right? I actually felt bad for the way they used to treat me, but I still give them good treatment. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, you'll be so thankful that, thank Allah, thank you for letting me be able to do what I did in those situations. And I didn't take retribution. I didn't insult them back, right? I didn't hurt them back, even though what they did to me, I'm reaping the reward today. And it's any time where you want reward and you want a prize, that is on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Inna Allah la yudi'u ajral muhsinin. So one thing to take of my dear brothers and sisters of this beautiful story of Yusuf alayhi salam and his character, how he dealt with his family. Yes, they did him wrong, right? But at a time when he had time to take retribution, he said, "La tathriba alaykum al-yawm." There's no blame on you. That's not the game I play. I don't do those type of things, right? Alhamdulillah, yani, he kept his character. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us keep our character upright and according to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And times when people don't treat us right, even our own family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all your families in this great month of Ramadan where you're locked down, you're stuck with your family. Inshallah ta'ala, you're having a great time with your family. And this is a great time to make up if there's any wrong, right? To love each other, especially in this great month of Ramadan. And rahmah is for us to have rahmah also. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of you and accept your fasting and your du'as. We see inshallah ta'ala you benefit from these reminders every night. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah everyone for joining. Inshallah, we will see you all tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.